What's up, y'all?
Yo.
Life is good.
How goes it?
Hope you.
All right, so welcome to another episode of The Apple Tree. Bang, bang, pop. All right, man. So we got a few solid things to talk about today. I think we'll get some good content as usual. You know, I have some good confidence in today's group. Mm-hmm. Right. So we'll do some introductions. As always, I'm Kevin.
Kenny.
AD.
Jimmy Thompson,
Whoa.
aka Jimmy T.
Jimmy Tizzle in this.
No.
All right, man. So I kind of gave y'all the breakdown of how it's gonna go. Like I said, if y'all need to break or anything, just whatever. It ain't that big of a deal. So the icebreaker topic for today is role models, and what I mean by that is, I think it's pretty obvious, like where like our culture gets its role models from. Typically it's the athletes, the rappers, whatever. And it's never the, like, I don't think anybody from my culture can name any like major scientists or doctors or engineers from our culture, right? And so this is something that I've never really been able to answer for myself or figure out for myself. But I think it's worth the conversation. Like, why is it that we choose our role models from entertainment and not education or the things that we know are better for us, right? What are y'all thoughts?
I think it's mainly because of one thing is, like we had previously before we started recording, the conversation we was having, I think is really about access, right? We have easier access to those things because it's always in our face, right? So every time you turn on the TV, we all watch TV, we all listen to music, we all, like go out and like have fun and music, entertainment, or sports, or
you can find a basketball, right?
Yeah, they're always in whatever whatever it is we like to do in our free time. One of those are always included in that. So we relate that to fun. Everybody. I want to be who everybody likes. I want to be who everybody enjoys. And when we do the things we enjoy, some of those people or what they do is always involved in that. So
good point. I mean, I always say that most people rather be entertained than educated on a general level. And so what I'm thinking is that I completely agree with everything you just said, because like I said, you can literally find a basketball and like try to become a basketball player, but like you're not going to find a chemistry set on the side of the road, you know what I'm saying, and make that an aspiration. But I believe that some influence comes from not only your friends but your parents as well. In terms of what they expose you to and what they offer to you to be an option for your career or even like any general interest, right? And I think it's safe to say that most parents would prefer their kids to be in different professions outside of like entertainment. Yeah. But I don't think the motivation is there, right? Yeah. And so even on that level, looking at the kids and looking at the parents, I feel like there isn't even a push on that end to get kids to aspire to different things outside of like entertainment.
Well, to that, I think the tide of that is turning. Especially for people in our culture, right? The older our culture gets, the more educated we get, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think we are more educated, or our age group is more educated than our parents were, or our parents' age group, right?
Yeah.
So we understand and we know of a lot of things that they didn't know of, right? Like we know, if you want to be a scientist, this is what you do. Like when I went to college, when I was a first generation, I am a first generation college man. Like when I went to college and when I was almost getting ready to finish, that inspired my mother to go to college.
Word?
So it was kind of like backwards for me and how I was brought up. I think that it's ingrained in us to be happy for our children being able to have a tangible talent, right? As being able to sing or be good at sports, right? If you have a son, you know, the first thing you want to do is see what your son is naturally drawn to.
Right. That's
And
real.
we can have so many other things that, okay, like our kid can be able to start reading at 2 years old, and we'll be happy.
That's nice.
But if he can go grab that goddamn football
Yeah,
and run down the
we
street,
with it.
we
And
even
everybody need to know about it,
happier,
right?
Yeah.
So but I think the tide of that is turning a little bit because, you know, we are a greater proportion of us is more educated than the last generation.
Agreed.
So I think that's changing.
It's funny you mentioned that. I remember being up in Pennsylvania, working for a premier hospital up there, and going to the YMCA every day, and I kept seeing this guy in there with his son, religiously putting up jump shots with his son at the free throw line. I was like, why do I know his face? It turns out he was one of our head oncologists. So
Really?
doctor, one of the smartest, you know, top 5% in the whole organization, but he spent his afternoons playing basketball and making sure that his son jump shot was right. So it's like, no matter what industry you're in, no matter what, you know what I'm saying, people you surround yourself with, it's like we are fascinated by athletes. And just to answer your first question, I think having role models in, you know, that are in sports or in entertainment, I think it's less of a problem now. Okay. And by that I mean, like, the people that we're looking up to now are blurring the lines so much. You have a LeBron James that opens a school, right? So I'm in healthcare, I write books, but one of my role models is a Rick Ross. You know what I'm saying? Someone who is tatted from head to toe, who, you know what I'm saying, raps, but has so many different business ventures and does everything I want to do from a traveling standpoint. So it's like, he's not influencing my career choices or the way in which I want to, you know what I'm saying, build my wealth, but he also is showing us how to be diversified in your portfolio and how to, you know what I'm saying, build wealth with the people around you, etc. So I think we just have to be educated in what we lean on our role models for. So it's an interesting dynamic.
Good point. Yeah, that's a good point, bro. And I think that, like, I don't know. I don't know if it's like a biological thing, or if it's, you know what I'm saying, like, ingrained in our DNA, or like we are definitely more fascinated by the, like, physical feats, you know what I'm saying, than the mental. I mean, it's just, I mean, I've had situations, you know, being in school or whatever, where I see things that maybe old engineers have done, or, like, you know, you see like an example program in your book or whatever, you're like, wow, that was clever as shit, right? Yeah. But if I see Buddy come down the lane, you know what I'm saying, do something, like, yo, right? Yeah. I mean, it's just, that's just what it is, and, like, I can't explain it, but I think it's. I
also, like, to that point, right? I think, you know, I think a big part of it is, like, how do you celebrate, you know, feats that come from, you know, mental exercise, right? We know how to celebrate when somebody slam dunk. That's why we get up,
get lit, right?
But we just invent something. Like, how do you? Like,
that's a good point.
On
to the next thing. Yeah.
Like, we need. I think, you know, we need ways to express ourselves, man. And a lot of times, especially if you have an 8-hour job, man, you know, we sit here and we, you know, I would say probably contain ourselves, good, bad, or indifferent. There's always a very thin line that you have to walk while you're in the workplace, right?
I agree.
So when you get out of the workplace, you know, we need some way to, you know, express ourselves. We need some way to celebrate, to yell, to do whatever, because, you know, for the most part of your day, you're walking that thin line, no matter what it is you do. Yeah. You know, so
when you talk to these individuals, the doctors, the engineers, the musicians, you know what I'm saying, I guess the headline from my conversations would be, man, they get paid all that money to rap on the beat, or man, they get paid all that money to carry football. So it's almost like they don't attribute it to hard work.
Right.
So when they think about their offsprings or the people around them, that, you know, in the conversations I've had, they say, man, like, you don't want to be locked in the library for 4 years or dedicate 6 years of your life to studying. So it's like, when they think about the football or the rap, they see it as like a quick win almost. So it's like they don't attribute it to hard work, no matter how many hours people are spending into the gym. It's like, in their mind, it's like, that doesn't correlate to the like hours I spent studying, mastering science, etc.
Hard to argue with that.
It's like a quick, it's like winning the lotto almost to them.
It's a game, right?
It is a game, man. But I still, man, like, I think all of us here, you know, have, whether it be in high school or little league or something like that, we probably, you know, were involved in, like, sports and stuff like that. And all of us went to college. Like, all of us went to the same college. But so we understand from the mental aspect of those hours in the library and everything like that, man. And look, I can tell you right now, like it was hard work, trying to get through school and trying to do everything, to make it to that next level and graduate. But man, like some of them football practices, man, was hard too. So like
Agreed.
I think a lot of those people haven't walked in both of those, shoes. So and like I'm a professional, man. Like I work in aerospace. I don't work in I'm not a professional athlete. So the hard work that I think was hard at that time was nothing because I didn't make it to that level.
Right.
So
okay.
I just think they don't look at it that way, and I think a lot of people who make those comments probably have never lived in both of those shoes. So
good point. When I think of like practicing for sports, generally speaking, like the time you put in there ain't the time you put in the office. You know what I'm saying? Like even if you're like a professional like football player, professional track runner, whatever, you know what I'm saying? You go to practice, your practice at most a couple hours, right? The rest of your practice is just you eating right and taking care of your body. You know what I'm saying? The rest, you kind of enjoying your life or whatever versus being in the office for 8 hours and then still kind of having like duties on your mind, like other stuff, It is different. And I can remember like being at like football practice or whatever, and the bad feeling that you get, where you're tired or you're fatigued or you're getting beat up or whatever, and comparing that to like being at the engineering school, like I don't understand this. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I would rather be on the field. You know what I'm saying? Like in terms of like how I feel at the moment, long term maybe not, because I like to have a well conditioned body. I don't want to be getting beat up all the time, but generally speaking, like I still enjoy the feeling I get from like working out and like something physical, that physical expression that you kind of talked about, and I don't get that from like figuring something out in my textbook. Like it's just not the same. You know what I'm saying? So maybe you contributed to that, but I don't know. You got something to add, Kenny, or no?
No, I just think that what Jimmy said, it just depends on how far you've gotten in that experience. Yeah, you're talking about that, but there are guys playing AAU basketball, they play the entire weekend. So they're playing 6, 7, 8 games the whole weekend, and they're studying, they're going to practice, they're looking at film. We don't see any of that. But we just see them playing the game and think, oh, that's all they do. But it's a lot more into it. Even when they're just playing one-on-one, they're practicing. They're practicing their moves. They're practicing one-on-one technique or 3-on-3. That's still practicing.
It is.
So it's still a lot of energy that goes into it. I remember as a kid in middle school, high school, we leave the bus stop and we go straight to the YMCA
straight
for the next 5-6 hours.
That's crazy.
I mean, every day. And I've never made it to college. Didn't play for the high school team or anything. But that's what we were doing. So if I'm doing that, think about the ones who are actually playing on the team. They have these one-on-one, practices and sessions with these coaches, and their parents are paying, $50, $60 a lesson or a session just so that they can get to that next level. So I do think it's relative. And back to the role model thing, the leagues have taken a very precise approach with making sure these guys are role models. Think about Allen Iverson back in the day. They didn't like the fact that he wore these $120 jeans, these $200 t-shirts, so they made everyone wear suits now. Think about domestic violence. Anytime something happens, they're ready to cut somebody right away. Back in the day that didn't happen. So I think they're taking a serious approach to this image and branding and making sure that these guys are better role models because they know that these kids are watching them. So I don't see a problem with it.
You think that's appropriate?
I think from what standpoint? Because if you listen to Charles Barkley, he says, I'm not a damn role model. You know what I mean? Right. He doesn't see himself as a role model. He doesn't want to be a role model. That's not something that he wanted to be. But it's it comes with the territory. It's like the paparazzi following you. You're an actor. Bro, you're an actor. Like everybody wants to know your business. It comes with the territory. But I thought about the role model issue or conversation you guys had, and you see these athletes on TV, you see these actors and these rappers on TV. You don't know about these doctors unless they do anything. So the old Ben Carson, I didn't know about him until he came up with the book Gifted Hands. So you start reading that book and it's like, okay, now I can look up to him because I read something about him. I could relate to him. Before that, I can relate to him. He was a neurosurgeon. That's all I knew. He did some really good feats with neurosurgery, but that's all I can relate to. Now I have some books to look at, And he was on Oprah, back then, and so you can actually he was on Oprah, yeah.
When he
She
came
endorsed
out with
him
the
as far
movie.
not president, but as a person, she had him on her show and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
My grandmother bought me his first book, The Gift of Handbook. She bought that book for me to make me read it.
Emphasis on old Ben Carson.
Right.
Yeah, and so that plays into it as well.
Okay.
See, but I think it goes back to having access, right? Because like a lot of these people, don't go back and tell people what they do, how they got there. When it comes down to the communities that they come from, like so me,
they're ashamed of it.
Yeah, like I wouldn't say shamed. It's just that like growing up, you get called nerd, you get called this, you get called that. When when your passion is, when the avenue to your passion is education, right? So I think a lot of people have those built up frustrations, so they don't go back. Because the people, from their community, laughed and picked on them and stuff like that. But also like I know me, like I'm nowhere near as successful as I plan to be or what my goals are. But in comparison, I would probably say I'm fairly successful.
Yeah.
So I make it a point for me to, whenever I'm given the opportunity, I go back and share what I do and how I got there, and like because what I do now, I had no idea that these opportunities were out there.
Bruh, I say that all the time, bro.
At that age. So I think the reason why the reason why young kids look up to these actors and athletes and all the stuff like that, because like that's what they see. That's what they see. Over and over again. So I think it's on us, as we grow and get more successful, to go back and to show these kids that hey, just like when we did the Teach for America thing about a month or so ago, like one of the principals at the school said that a lot of people, they focus on being like that entertainer, but he said, Chris Rock said in a joke, he was like, "Do you guys know who my neighbor is? My neighbor is a dentist." Right. So I have to go up and entertain all of you and work on developing these jokes and writing and everything, and all he got to do is go and pull out a couple teeth. Yeah. So like when you look at it in that aspect, man, like it's a greater chance for you to become successful and to buy all these nice things and buy all these nice cars. There's a greater chance of you doing it by chasing your education and becoming something in a professional field than it is being an athlete, because the percentages are so low.
Yeah, man. Good stuff. All right, bro. So I wanna thank you all for attending today and sitting on the podcast, man. And I knew from jump that you all had some good things to say and some solid gems to drop. And I appreciate you for taking your time out, stopping on the podcast. Do y'all have anything else that y'all want to add or maybe put out into the universe, or like maybe advice or good books or other good podcasts that you might listen to that you might want to share with other folks? Now's the time to drop it.
A.D. Williams, thank you for having me again.
Whoop.
Hot items right now, of course, youngflyfoolish.com, still going strong with the book.
Check the link.
In addition, we have some apparel, some hats, some shirts. We'd love for y'all to cop that. And then the advancementleague.org, big healthcare conference coming to San Francisco in February, and a lot more to come after that. So stay tuned. Health is an issue and an opportunity for all of us. So let's work, let's collaborate.
There it is. Everybody's got some.
Just a word someone told me that I think about is protect your peace. People come in and out, issues come into your life, but make sure you protect your peace, because you have to protect yourself before you can start trying to protect everyone else.
True that.
Absolutely. And again, this is Jimmy Thompson, Jimmy T. Instagram, JT_ the wise man. Go ahead and follow me if you want to. But no, man, I got a lot of stuff going on right now. I don't want to say I don't have nothing going on right now, but
works in progress.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Outside of work, man, I got my own little company going, man.
Okay, and, keep us posted, man.
It's absolutely starting to take off, man.
Yes,
that was back to one of the points that Swift said, man. Our side hustles, man, are legitimate, and my whole purpose, man, is working myself outside of this job that I have now.
There it is.
So, but yeah, man, I got that going, and really excited about what's coming.
Okay, there it is, man. All right, so I appreciate y'all today. I'm sure I'll get a chance to see y'all again on the set. Woo. And I want to thank everybody out there for listening to another episode of The Apple Tree. Pow.